Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you've never seen me before, then hi, welcome. So in today's video, I wanted to keep the end of the year theme going. I mean, apart from the holiday theme, of course, I'm gonna be posting more Christmas videos. I hope I can film and edit and get them out in time before Christmas ends, fingers crossed. But also, it's the end of the year, right? So I'm gonna be talking about 2025 book releases that I'm so excited about. I feel like I'm sad, of course, that 2024 is ending. Maybe, you know, it wasn't the best year, but still, like, I don't know. I feel sad every time the year ends. But I feel like talking about these book releases gets me really excited for the new year because I want to read these books already. Truly, I am so excited for these books and I cannot wait to read them. And I just love talking about it with you guys. I'm just gonna have a little chat about these book releases and hoping that some of these or most of these you guys can relate to as well. What I mean by that is like you're as excited as I am for these books as well. And I just noticed that I have this, which is not letting you see my cute little Christmas tree. Also, these are not obviously all the book releases that are going to be coming out next year. These are just the ones that I'm really excited about. Also, I'm going to be telling you my 5-star predictions. So books that I think are going to be 5-star reads for me. Let's just get into it. The earliest book that is going to be coming out next year, and I'm so excited about, get ready, okay, because I'm going to be saying excited like so many times throughout this video, is Beg, Borrow, or Steal. That's part of the When in Rome series by Sarah Adams, and it's going to be coming out January 7th. I, of course, read When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. Those are like the other 2 books in this series. I fell in love with this series because it reminded me so much of Gilmore Girls. The town in this series reminds me of Stars Hollow. And the characters in this series remind me of characters in Gilmore Girls. Like, it's just insane. And I adore Gilmore Girls, one of my favorite comfort shows. Basically, in the first book, we meet our main character is a brother, right? And he has 3 other sisters. And so this series is about like siblings. The second book was about one of his sisters. Then the third book is gonna be about another one of his sisters. I guess she'll come out with the 4th book in 2026, I'm guessing. I don't know. This book, Beg, Borrow, or Steal, is about another one of his sisters called Emily Walker. We did get to meet her a bit in When in Rome. I think we met her more in Practice Makes Perfect. The other love interest, they mentioned him as well, but I forgot. I looked up the premise, you know, so I can read it with you guys. But first, let's talk about the tropes. We have rivals to lovers, and of course, it's a small town romance. That's it. It says, Emily Walker hates having her carefully crafted world disrupted by anyone. Most of all, her legendary nemesis, Jack Bennett. That reminds me of Wes Bennett from Better Than the Movies, because I'm actually currently reading Nothing Like the Movie, so anyways, he's the opposite of the wonderful heroes she dreams up in her double life as a romance writer. I love that. Which is why Emily was perfectly happy when Jack left Rome, Kentucky. That's the small town in the series. Mid-school year with his fiancé. The last thing Emily saw coming was Jack's return at the start of the summer after calling off the wedding and ending his relationship, but he's here to stay as her colleague and her neighbor. Jackson Bennett is glad to be back, eager to renovate his house and work on the next mystery novel under his best-selling pen name. I love that they're both authors, but when he realizes he's now neighbors with the one woman who has always pushed his buttons, he discovers something he's even more excited for, thwarting Emily and her petty plans to sabotage his return. With their chemistry-fueled animosity at an all-time high, Emily accidentally sends an email to their school's principal that could reveal her secret literary side hustle. She needs to steal back her manuscript, and Jack, she hates to admit it, is just the man to help her. Surprisingly, Jack agrees. Will their unlikely alliance put an end to their rivalry? Okay, I love that. So that's where the rivals to lovers comes in, but I also love that, you know, they obviously have a history. And I think, yeah, I already knew she was a teacher because they had mentioned it previously in the other 2 books. I love that she's a romance author. I love that he's an author as well, even though he doesn't write the same genre. Kind of reminded me of January and Gus from Beach Read. I love the premise, honestly. I'm really excited to get to know Emily, to get to know Jack. Honestly, Sarah Adams writes really good fictional men. I love, again, how she writes this small town series. It's so cozy. It's just everything I want in a small town series. Oh, and I will say, this is one of the books that I think will be a 5-star read for me because When Rome was really close for it to be a 5-star read for me, and then Practice Makes Perfect was a 5-star read for me. So I'm predicting this will be a 5-star read for me. The next book is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. This comes out January 14th, and this is a thriller book. This is one of the authors that, like, it's not that I don't love her books, it's just like I haven't read many of them. I've only read one, Rock, Paper, Scissors. I love that book, so that's why I'm so excited when I saw that she was going to be coming out with a new thriller next year, because I really loved her writing, to be honest, in Rock, Paper, Scissors. And many people say that, like, many of her other books are really good as well. I really don't know anything about this book, so again, I'm just going to read the premise with you guys. Author Grady Green is having the worst best day of his life. Grady calls his wife to share some exciting news as she is driving home. He hears Abby slam on the brakes, get out of the car, then nothing. When he eventually finds her car by the cliff edge, the headlights are on, the driver door is open, her phone is still there, but his wife has disappeared. A year later, Grady is still overcome. Oh no. They never, like, found out what happened to her? With grief and desperate to know what happened to Abby. Yeah, I guess he never did. That's so sad. If you didn't know this, I'm a true crime girly, and I absolutely hate when I see true crime stories that were never solved. That's like the worst thing ever, and especially obviously for the family and loved ones. Cannot even imagine. He can't sleep and he can't write, so he travels to a tiny Scottish island to try to get his life back on track. Then he sees the impossible. A woman who looks exactly like his missing wife. Wives think their husbands will change, but they don't. Husbands think their wives won't change, but they do. Okay, that just got, like, creepy very fast. What do you mean he sees his missing wife? That drives me crazy, especially after a year. So what, does that mean she's alive still, or does that mean he's, like, going crazy? He's finally gone crazy. He's seeing things? You know, kind of like a ghost type thing. I guess I'll have to wait and find out when I read this book. Yeah, like I said, it sounds creepy, but the premise sounds really, really good. And honestly, I feel like that's her thing. Like, again, I've only read one of her books, but Rock, Paper, Scissors had a similar vibe to it. And, like, the plot twist in that book really, really got me. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Next, we have The Crash by Frida McFadden, which is coming out in January 28th, and this is also a thriller book. Frida McFadden is one thriller author that I really, really love. I've read many of her books. I haven't hated a single one. I haven't loved them all, but I haven't hated one. So that's good. And honestly, I eat up her books every single time. They're so fast-paced. They always get me out of a slump. And her plot twists are always just so insane. I always say that I don't know how she, like, comes up with any of her plot twists. Like, how does her mind work? Because, like, I need to know. They're just insane and crazy, and I never see them coming. And honestly, I love her work ethic. Well, I admire it, actually, because she's always releasing new books. I'm just like, girl, I love that for you. I had to research to know which book she was going to be releasing next year, but, like, I didn't even have to ask myself, like, is she releasing a new book now? Of course she's releasing a new book. And again, love that for her and love that for me, because I welcome any new Frida McFadden book. Give them to me. I love them. Again, I haven't read the premise. I don't know anything about this book, so I'm gonna read it for the first time with you guys. Tegan is 8 months pregnant, alone, and desperately wants to put her crumbling life in the rearview mirror. So she hits the road planning to stay with her brother until she can figure out her next move. But she doesn't realize she's heading straight into a blizzard. Okay, I love these type of books or these type of plot lines. She never arrives at her destination. Stranded in rural Maine with a dead car and broken ankle, and she's pregnant. Oh my gosh, I can't. Tegan worries she's made a terrible mistake. Yeah, and a miracle. She's rescued by a couple who offers her a room. I don't think this is a good thing. Of course, it's a Frida McFadden book. Who offers her a room in their warm cabin until the snow clears. But something isn't right. Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. Tegan believes she was waiting out the storm, but as time ticks by, she comes to realize she is in grave danger. A safe haven isn't what she thought it was, and staying here may have been her most deadly mistake yet. And now she must do whatever it takes to save herself and her unborn child. That's the worst thing. The fact that, like, she's pregnant. I just know I'm gonna be on the edge of my seat every single second while reading this book. And there's just, like, a lot of things and elements in this book, just like by the premise, makes it very high stakes and just like a nail biter, because pregnant, broken ankle, and just like what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with this couple? Like, what? Serial killers? I don't know, maybe they know each other and, like, she just doesn't realize it at first. I don't know. Again, I just know it's gonna be something insane and crazy because it's Frida McFadden. I cannot wait to read this book. Hi guys, so I actually had to go out, stop filming, but I'm back home. And you know what, for a second, I thought I just wouldn't tell you anything because I didn't touch my tripod at all, so the camera didn't move. And so I was like, they're not gonna notice. You know what? Even though you may have not noticed, in this channel, we tell the truth. Like, we're besties, you and I, so I'm just gonna be real with you. You know what? Does it look better if I turn on my Christmas tree? It does look better. It looks cuter. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that. Next book release that's gonna be coming out in 2025, Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This is a romance book and it's gonna be coming out January 28th. I have only read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, which is a pregnancy trope, but like every time I mention this book, I always say don't let that discourage you, because I'm not a big pregnancy trope girly, but that book is the absolute exception. She just did such a phenomenal job with that book and the characters. That's why I'm so excited for her new book release. And the cover of this book looked so cute. It's troubled marriage, it's hiking, it's camping, it's very like naturey. I mean, right, they're gonna go hiking, they're gonna go camping. It's very geeky guy and reader girl, which like that I'm excited about. I love that. It's high school sweethearts and it's first love. That also gets me excited because I've always said this, I love when two characters share a special history between them. Like you can already notice the chemistry and like just the history. It's like very palpable. It says Sarah and Caleb have always been a sure thing. For the past 17 years, they have had each other's backs through all of life's ups and downs, achievements, losses, stages, and faces. But Sarah has begun to wonder, who is she without her other half? When she decides to take on a project of her own, a fundraising gala in memoriam of her late mother, Sarah wants nothing more than to prove to herself and to everyone else that she doesn't need Caleb's help to succeed. She's still her mother's daughter after all, independent and capable. That is until the event fails and Caleb uninvitedly steps in to save the day. The rift that follows unearths a decade of grievances between them, and doubts begin to grow. Are they truly the same person they were when they got married at 19? Oh. In a desperate attempt to fix what they fear is near breaking, Sarah and Caleb make the spontaneous decision to join a grueling hiking trip intended to guide couples through rough patches. Okay, so like I thought they were gonna break up. This is gonna be like a second chance thing, but they don't break up. Before they do, they try to fix it and they go on like this hiking trip. Okay, interesting. What follows is a life-affirming comedy of errors as two nature-averse people fight their way out of the woods in order to find their way back to their roots. I actually love that. It sounds just very interesting. It's gonna be very emotional and very like, I don't know, profound. I just know this hiking trip will change everything for them. I'm excited. I like the premise a lot. Next we have Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This book is part of the interconnected standalone series called the Rose Hill series. Again, of course, I read Wild Love, which is the first book in that series, and then Wild Eyes, which is the second book in that series. Wild Love was my first Elsie Silver book. I was planning to read the Chestnut Spring series, which is like by far her most popular series, but I don't know why I never got around to it. And Wild Love, I heard it had a billionaire trope, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna read that. I love the billionaire trope. Lauren Asher put me on that trope. Anyways, once I read that book, I loved her writing. Then I found out this series is actually gonna be like a single dad series. Like all the main characters are gonna be single dads, which that just made me love it more because I'm a sucker for the single dad trope, what can I say? So then I read Wild Eyes and I actually loved it more than Wild Love for many reasons, but more specifically because of the main character, West Belmont. That man had me in a chokehold all throughout the book and I am obsessed with him now. So of course I had to mention this book, which is the third book in the series, because I'm already in love with this series. I already have such an attachment to the characters, so I'm really excited for this third book. And it's gonna be coming out on March 4th. And the tropes are, which by the way, she's given us like a bit of a tease. Like I met both, I'm pretty sure, in Wild Eyes. I was like, okay, there's something interesting there. I'm liking that. I'm already just so excited because of that. So it's enemies to lovers, it's marriage of convenience, and again, it's single dad. And like I feel like I already knew the tropes as well, because in Wild Eyes, the way they interacted, definitely like they did not like each other. It says, I'd always dreamed of my wedding day, but not like this. Not looking into the eyes of the man who betrayed me. But when my nephew's guardianship is contested, I decide I'll do whatever it takes to keep him in Rose Hill, even if it means marrying the enemy. Rise Dupree. A man, also I like his name. A man who is secretive, broody, and completely infuriating. A man whose work takes him away for weeks on end and brings him back covered in mysterious bruises, ones he won't talk about. In fact, we barely talk at all, which would be fine except when he's not talking, he's staring. And the way he looks at me is borderline indecent. The tension between us has always been palpable. Yeah, I got that when I was reading Wild Eyes. But living under the same roof is a dangerous temptation. I swore I would never forgive him. That was before I knew the man behind the mask. The one who's fierce and protective. Ooh. The one who's gentle and patient. The one who shows up for us when we need him the most. He's not at all who I thought he was, and that makes hating my husband so much harder and loving him just a little too easy. I'm so excited for this book already. Like, I'm already giggling, kicking my feet. What is this? I'm excited to get to know them both, to get to know their story, to read it, to go through it. to experience all kinds of feelings, emotions, I'm so there. Also, since Wild Love was pretty close for it to be a 5-star read for me, and Wild Eyes was a 5-star read for me, I'm gonna guess this is gonna be a 5-star read for me. Okay, this next book I'm really excited to talk about. It's Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, which is gonna be coming out on March the 18th. If you don't know, I am the biggest Hunger Games fan. I love that series so much. I adore it. Actually, I have such a deep attachment to the characters. Like, it's actually insane. And I hold any man to the standards of Peter Millar, because he is not a green flag, he's a whole green forest. I love that man so much. I've read the books and I've seen the movies more times than I can count. Point is, I'm so like, excited doesn't even begin to describe it for this book to come out, because when I saw the news, screamed for like 5 straight minutes, ran around my house, just told everyone. Of course they didn't care, but I still told everyone. And also, literally when the news of the book came out, they also announced that the movie was going to be coming out a year later. I just know it's going to be phenomenal. And this is going to be Haymitch's book. We all have been asking for Haymitch's book, because if you're a real Hunger Games fan, you kind of already knew his story. I just think his whole like past is so interesting. It's tragic, it's so sad, but like the Hunger Games like that he competed in were so interesting, like are so interesting to me. I have always said like I would love a Haymitch book, and can you believe we're getting one now? Anyway, so of course, right, this is a dystopian book. So I'm gonna read you the premise. It says, when you've been set up to lose everything you love, what is there left to fight for? As the day dawns on the 50th annual Hunger Games, fear grips the districts of Panem. This year, in honor of the Quarter Quell, twice as many tributes will be taken from their homes. Back in District 12, Haymitch Abernathy is trying not to think too hard about his chances. All he cares about is making it through the day and being with the girl he loves. When Haymitch's name is called, he can feel all his dreams break. He's torn from his family and his love, shuttled to the capital with 3 other District 12. A young friend who's nearly a sister to him, a compulsive odds maker, and the most stuck-up girl in town. As the games begin, Haymitch understands he's been set up to fail. There's something in him that wants to fight, and have that fight reverberate, that's a big word, far beyond the deadly arena. What else can I say? Insanely excited for this book. I just know it's gonna be so good. I'm gonna be counting down the days. I am definitely putting this on the 5-star predictions. We won't see, right, until next year, but I'm pretty confident. The next book is Say You'll Remember Me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset, babe. I had to. Instantly thought of that song when I saw the title, and I'm pretty sure she like based it off like that song too. Well, the lyrics, that lyric specifically. It's by Abby Jimenez, and it's gonna be coming out on April the 1st. So I can confidently say now I'm an Abby Jimenez stan. I've read already 3 of her books, and I loved them all. They were all part of an interconnected standalone series. I loved her writing. I've said this before, but I think part of the reason why is because it reminds me a bit of Emily Henry's. Characters have so much depth. I love the emotional connection, I love the banter, I love the chemistry, I love the tension, and they're always such good tropes, and they're so emotional as well. I just feel like every time I finish one of her books, I'm just like, whoa. Life, I see it from a whole nother perspective. Safe to say, I'm so excited for her new book. The tropes are right person, wrong time. That trope always gets me. Grumpy Sunshine, I love that trope so much. Again, Lauren Asher also put me on that trope because the girl knows how to write Grumpy Sunshine. Long Distance and Dual POV, which the biggest dual POV girly. I've been saying this, but I think every romance book should have or should be dual POV. It says, there might be no such thing as a perfect guy, but Savior Rush comes disastrously close. Today, like, my brain is just like apparently not functioning. Gorgeous veterinarian. Veterinarian? I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so I'm just gonna move on. Giving Greek god vibes, all while cuddling a tiny kitten. Immediately, yes. That is, until Savior opens his mouth and proves that even sculpted gods can say the absolute wrong thing. Of course, there's nothing Samantha loves more than proving an asshole wrong, unless of course he can admit he made a mistake. But after one incredible and seemingly endless date, possibly the best in living history, Samantha is forced to admit the truth, that her family is in crisis and any kind of relationship would be impossible. Samantha begs Savior to forget her, to remember their night together as a perfect moment, as crushing as that may be. Only no amount of distance or time is nearly enough to forget forget that something between them. And the only thing better than one single perfect memory is to make a life and even a love worth remembering. I'm not sure about the premise. I didn't get it. But still, hey, it's an Abby Jimenez book. I'm so excited to read it. And I just cannot wait to like cry while reading this book, because again, her books are also just like so emotional. So that's great. I love that. Truly, I love that for me. I love books that make me feel like that. So okay, the next book I'm also really, really excited to talk about, and it's Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Sorry, I get a little bit excited when I talk about this series because it's become a very, very special series to me in very little time, because I read the first book in the series only this year for the first time, and that's like insane to me because I feel like I've loved it for such a long time. And so the second book came out this year, so of course I read it already. I already have such a deep attachment to the characters in this series. And again, Fearless, the third book, is gonna be coming out next year, and I'm just like what do you mean April 8th? What do you mean? It's romantasy. It's very, very much enemies to lovers, but like actual enemies to lovers. It's also forbidden romance. This series is so high stakes. All the things that happened in the second book, I feel like we're gonna be facing the consequences in this third book, and it's gonna be absolutely insane. And the premise, okay, it says Peyton Gray and Kai Azar return to the kingdom of Ilya, and Peyton has a life-altering choice to make. Whatever she decides will determine her fate and the fate of those around her forever. In the ultimate battle of love and loyalty, who wins? I can't, because I know what she's going to be deciding between, but I can't tell you in case you haven't read the series yet. I also know I trust Lauren Roberts so much. She's not going to disappoint us. She's not. I'm so scared, but I'm so excited. Oh, of course, I'm going to predict that's going to be a 5-star read for me. Okay, the next book might be my most anticipated book. That's going to be coming out in 2025, and it's Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, which is going to be coming out April 2022. Again, that seems like so far away. I already have it marked on my calendar, and I'll just be counting down the days and posting about it until then. Because hey, if you're new here, let me just tell you this. I am the biggest Emily Henry fan. She is by far my favorite author. She can do no wrong, and I honestly like don't know how she does it. Her writing is just absolute perfection. Her books are perfection. Her characters are perfection. She never disappoints me. She just keeps feeding the book girlies, and I'm here for it. Of course, I'm gonna predict this is gonna be a 5-star read for me because all her books have been, or very, very close to that. And what she's been teasing us about this book, it's getting me more excited because she said it's a little bit different, which I'm not afraid to welcome. Still Emily Henry, so I know she's gonna do a phenomenal job. I know I'm gonna love this book already because she's also said that this book was inspired by Taylor Swift's song, which is The Last Great American Dynasty. What are you planning to do to us? Is this gonna break me apart? Probably. Am I still gonna love it? Absolutely. Am I gonna cry? Probably. Am I still gonna love it? Absolutely. Is it gonna ruin me? Probably. Am I still gonna love it? Absolutely. Do I need to say anything else? No, I don't. So the tropes. It's enemies to lovers, which again also makes me love it already because the way she writes enemies or rivals to lovers. It's also opposites attract, and it's new versus old money, which is also why it's inspired by The Last Great American Dynasty. And it's very much female empowerment, which I love that. It says, Alice Scott is an eternal optimist still dreaming of her big writing break. Hayden Anderson is a Pulitzer Prize, is that how you say it? Pretty sure. Winning human thundercloud, and they're both on balmy Little Crescent Island for the same reason, to write the biography of a woman no one has seen in years, or at least to meet with the octogenarian who claims to be the Margaret Ives, tragic heiress, former tabloid princess, and daughter of one of the most storied and scandalous families of the 20th century. And Margaret invites them both for a 1-month trial period, after which she'll choose the person who will tell her story. There are 3 things keeping Alice's head in the game. 1, Alice genuinely likes people, which means people usually like Alice, and she has a whole month to win the legendary woman over. 2, she's ready for this job and the chance to impress her perennially unimpressed family. There's a lot of big words here. Unimpressed family with a serious publication. 3, Hayden Anderson, who should have no reason to be concerned about losing this book, is glowering at her in a shaken to the core way that suggests he sees her as competition. The problem is Margaret is only giving each of them pieces of her story, pieces they can't swap, put together because of an ironclad NDA and an inconvenient yearning. Oh my gosh. Of course, like, yeah, the fictional men she writes about, of course they yearn. Pulsing between them every time they're in the same room. So there's gonna be lots of tension, and I'm guessing lots of banter too. Like, her banter is unmatched. And it's becoming clear that their story, just like the tale Margaret's spinning, could be a mystery, tragedy, or love ballad, depending on who's telling it. So yeah, a lot of interesting things in this premise, and I cannot wait to get to know Alice and Hayden. Next book is Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. This is part of the Lakefront Billionaire series. I already love Lauren Asher books. They hold a very special place in my heart, and I love her writing so much. Her books may be long and over 300 pages, but I'm gonna eat them up every single time. Her banter is so good. The tension is through the roof. Absolutely insane. I feel like the Lakefront Billionaire series, just the fact that it's the billionaire trope again, obsessed. This one is small town as well. I'm a small town romance girly. I already have such a connection to the characters of the series because I've read the first 2 books. It's gonna be about Lorenzo and Lily. It's also a marriage of convenience. Also, I couldn't find any premise of this book, so I guess we're gonna move on. But I am excited, okay, because again, I already love the series so much. The next book is A First Time for Everything by K.L. Walther. This is gonna be coming out June the 3rd. I've only read one other book by this author. The Summer of Broken Rules, that's the book. And I loved it enough that again, I decided to include this book release. So the tropes are coming of age, it's found family, it's a love triangle, which is my guilty pleasure. It's also rivals to lovers, and it's boy next door. It says Madeline has always been extremely close to her family, so she is shocked when her older brother gets engaged without including them. Ouch. Or even giving them a heads up. Mads has never been the biggest fan of his fiancée, Katie, so in order to remain one happy family, she is determined to bond with Katie before the big day, which includes reluctantly agreeing to be a bridesmaid. During a late night bridesmaids only game of truth or dare, Mads is cornered into revealing she's never been kissed or even been on a date. I can already relate so much. Which spurs the other girls to unite on a quest to find Mads, the perfect +1 for the wedding. Next thing she knows, she's navigating a series of disastrous dates that include some major misunderstandings and mishaps. All of a sudden, Mads finds her heart tugged in different directions. This is where the love triangle comes in. To Connor, the boy next door who knows her best, to Marco Alvarez, the former classmate who knows how to push all her buttons. I'm actually loving this. And to some of the new suitors who surprisingly aren't all bad. As the wedding draws nearer, Mads has to figure out who she wants most as a forever dance partner. I'm rooting for the one who pushes all her buttons, while also making sure her brother isn't making the biggest mistake of his life. I love this because it's got a lot of different elements to it. I'm excited. That got me excited. Next we have Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer. This is part of, again, another interconnected standalone series called the Vancouver Storm series. So this is a hockey romance series, and I really loved the first 2 books. The 3rd book I haven't read yet. It came out this year, and I'm planning to before the year ends. It comes out, this book, Gloves Off, on June 17. And the tropes are enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience, it's grumpy sunshine. Oh, and that's it. But I am loving all those tropes. Shall we read the premise? The only way to get my inheritance? Marry Alexei Volkov, the grumpiest enforcer in the NHL. A brutally handsome jerk and the last man I'd ever fall for. We'll see about that. In public, we act as besotted newlyweds, but in private, we're at each other's throats. He's competitive, arrogant, and surly. The guy's never cracked a smile in his life. Oh, but you're gonna be the one to do it. You're gonna be the one to do it. He's jealous of my ex, he glares at my high heels, and insists he's not attracted to me. He's only marrying me for citizenship. Fighting with Alexei is more fun than expected, though, and beneath his grouchy exterior, Alexei is surprisingly caring, protective, and generous. He cooks for me and worries about my safety. He sends me flowers with secret meanings and spends way too much money on me. He makes me sleep in his bed and calls me his wife. I'm already giggling, kicking my feet. For a guy who said he'd never fall in love with me, Alexei's doing a good impression of it. And now I'm wondering if this marriage is fake after all. It's not, girly, it's not. That premise already got me all giddy. Really excited for this book. And finally, okay, Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. So this is a thriller book, and it's gonna be coming out July the 22nd. I can confidently say that I'm a Holly Jackson fan. I haven't hated one of her books. I love all her books, the ones that I read. I love her writing. I love the way she writes thriller books. I just love her plot twists so much. They're so crazy, they're so insane. Never see them coming, can never seem to guess where her books are going, which I love, and her books always have me on the edge of my seat. So yeah, I was so happy when I found out that she was going to be releasing a new thriller next year. She doesn't have a cover yet, but I cannot wait to see it when she does release it. It says, in 7 days, Jet Mason will be dead. Jet is the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Woodstock, Vermont. 27 years old, she's still waiting for her life to begin. she'll do it later. She always says she has time until on the night of Halloween, Jet is violently attacked by an unseen intruder. She suffers a catastrophic brain injury. The doctor is certain that within a week, she'll suffer a deadly aneurysm. Jet never thought of herself as having enemies, but now she looks at everyone in a new her. Okay, this says in a new her family. I literally copy and pasted this from Goodreads. I'm guessing there was a word that was left here. So I'm guessing this was meant to say in a new light, then comma, her family, her ex-best friend turned sister-in-law, and her former boyfriend. She only has 7 days, and as her condition deteriorates, she has only her childhood friend Billy for help. But nevertheless, she's absolutely determined to finally finish what? Because then it says Jet is going to solve her own murder. Again, maybe there's another word missing here. I'm intrigued. Seems like kind of like a countdown. Like, again, she only has 7 days to figure out who was the one that attacked her, why is she in this situation, why did this happen to her, who was the person, and again, what was the reason for what they did to her. I love books like that because I feel like it's going to be fast-paced because of that. For me, Holly Jackson books have never disappointed me. I'm really excited for this book. That's all I can say. That means we reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you stuck to the end, I love you so much. Honestly, I feel like 2025 is gonna be the year for book girlies, and I'm so excited for it. If there are any other books you're excited about, please tell me about them down below in the comments. Enjoy the rest of your holidays. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and I guess that's all I have to say. See you guys in my next video. Bye.